population of the world's been growing rapidly for the past 30 to 40 years, as you can see from this graph. It's been going through what we might term a period of exponential growth, or alternatively, a population explosion. And it's predicted to carry on growing for most of the rest of this century. Most of this growth has been, and it's predicted is going to carry on being, in less developed countries, and the question here is, why is that? The demographic transition model predicts in general terms how a country's population will change as it becomes more economically developed. There aren't really any countries at stage 1 though. The only people at stage 1 are, say, tribes living in the Amazon rainforest, for example. At stage 1, the birth rate, shown by the blue line, will be high. At this stage, people rely on farming to provide food, but because they have no modern farm machinery, families need lots of children to work on the land. They won't have retirement pensions either, so parents also need lots of children to support them in old age. And they also probably have limited awareness of family planning and contraception, and even when they do know about contraception, there might be religious reasons why it can't be used. However, the death rate at stage 1, shown by the black line, is also high. If the harvest fails, for example, famine becomes a real problem. Also, people probably won't have clean piped water, and combined with poor medical care, this means that diseases can spread quickly. That can especially affect young children, leading to high infant mortality rates, which is possibly another reason for the high birth rates. Because the birth rate and death rate are roughly equal though, the total population, shown by the red line, stays very low. What happens at stage 2 is that the birth rate stays high, but the death rate begins to fall rapidly. Improvements in farming or trade with other countries, or a combination of the two, can bring more reliable food supplies, reducing the risk of famine, while things like cleaner water, better sanitation and healthcare will limit the spread of disease. So because the birth rate is now much higher than the death rate, you have a high natural increase, or a population explosion. At stage 3, the death rate continues to fall, but more slowly. The big difference is that the birth rate starts to fall rapidly because improvements in food supply, cleaner water and better healthcare lead to lower infant mortality, which means that families don't need to have as many children. You also, as you move into stage 4, start to see greater awareness of family planning and contraception, combined with a higher cost of living that makes having children much more expensive. In particular, the status of women in society starts to improve. Women become much more likely to choose a career, put off starting having a family till later in life, and maybe only have 1 or 2 children at most when they do. The result of all of that is that the total population starts to level off, but at a much higher level than it was to begin with. What we're also starting to see in some countries is the beginnings of a stage 5, where the death rate stays low, but the birth rate falls even lower, because of all of those reasons to do with family planning, the cost of living, the status of women. So the total population actually starts to shrink again. A couple of things to finish off. First of all, the definitions of some of the key words used in this clip. If you want to read them in more detail, pause it, obviously, and if you want to do any further research and you missed the spelling of the term demographic transition model at the start of the clip, there it is for you right now to finish with.